Okay, let's see here. Where was I? Alright, part 2 now. We were at... yeah, see, there's my two T's over there. Had a spotlight on this thing. Okay, so Aeon Flux. Cannot recommend that movie higher. It was one of the highlights on MTV. It's one of the very few reasons, other than Daria and Beavis and Butthead and Big Head, is one of the few things I would watch other than MTV music videos on, MTV. Okay, now, here. I'm jump in here. Anyway, so, there we go. Captain N, the Game Master. Back in the day, we had, programming blocks, and this is one of them. This guy, our title character, is Captain N, and he was brought into the video game world, so he's able to play against, it's sort of like, well, it's isekai before there was isekai, pretty much. He goes through this video game world, and he, defeats Mother Brain, and he actually did have, near the end of the series, a crossover with Zelda from this game, so it actually was. So this is actually one of the video game worlds from this game, from this world, which is what I like. Let's put these two together. I still gotta rearrange a lot, because it's still a work in progress trying to find the right combination for a lot of these. But anyway, then there's Spawn, and X-Men. So we have all this. This is the Marvel section. So we have X-Men Evolution, Wolverine and X-Men, X-Men and animated series, Next Avengers, Jesus. There's no Spawn. Yeah, again, I gotta fix these things. Superman and Batman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Starcross, and all that fun stuff. This is all the Batman, Superman stuff. And we have the Schoolhouse Rocks, Teddy Ruxpin. Here. There's a good one here. Yes, there it is. Buena Vista Home Entertainment. They are a subsidiary of Walt Disney. Anyway, this is Cartoon All-Stars. So all these characters, a lot of them, the mainstays that you see in here, are in this crossover. It's a massive crossover with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Elf, Elvin and Chipmunks, Muppet Babies, jeepers, Smurfs, but there are like a dozen other characters in the opening, in the intro, that do not make it into the actual film or short. And there's an opening by, what's his name, Bush, or whatever his name is in the 80s, about this. This is back with the war on drugs, followed by the war on crime and all that stuff. Then the war on terror. Yeah, it was, then the war on pollution and education. Then it's bullying now, so yeah. So trust me, there's been a lot of war on stuff. This was the war on drugs special. And that's just other miscellaneous stuff. Back here, we have the princess sections. Those are, don't really do too much. They're just, well, if you've seen a Disney film, most likely you've seen stories like this or know of stories like this. Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Pocahontas, and all that stuff. Oh, here we go. Dr. Chuck Jones collection. That's really good there. It has a ton of good stuff on there. Chuck Jones is a really good animator, along with a dozen others. Cartoon Classics, just another random collection stuff. South Park Imagination Land, that's a good one. Secret Saturdays is pretty good. There's a Time Machine. Then we get more of the foreign titles, kinda. Wait a minute, what's that doing here? Yeah, I need to move that. Move a lot of stuff now. Garfield's Holiday Celebrations, Magic School Bus. The short-lived series, even though they had a lot of, like a couple of episodes put out, they only put in like 3 or 4 episodes onto a disc. So you have the stuff here, Action Man and Starcan, and the first 4th of July. Ugh, that was the educational period. That was the beginning of the educational period. All Grown Up, Rugrats. Fat Albert, it was one of those social things. I was trying to teach kids about social dynamics and what is and is not acceptable in society, but in a positive way. It was trying to help kids understand how to deal with hard feelings, which was very nice. Which is what the movie was, which was pretty much the ending cap to the series, I believe, because this was more of an anthology series. It was more of a day in the life of, so there's no real end to it. So the movie was a good capper to it, I believe. Inspector Gadget's Christmas, that was pretty good, but he never recognized his Claw. But the only saving grace about all this is that Claw always gives at the end where he says, "Next time, Gadget. Next time." Anyway, moving on. Now let's go to Heathcliff's and Friends, Cats and Company. The animated version of A Never-Ending Story, and then the My Little Pony section, Anna and the Green Gables, some Warner Brothers collection, and Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie. That's a good one. James Bond Jr. Now remember, I think in the early, not in the 80s, but in the early 90s, there was um, a gimmick where if you had a hit movie, you had a brief series. James Bond Jr. was to cash out on the or try to get money out of the James Bond series, but since you can't have James Bond, can't have James Bond's son, but you can do James Bond Jr. as his nephew. So it's a lot of the same thing, except it's with his nephew. Skeleton Warriors is again another episodic fantasy that doesn't really do anything, it's just there. Swamp Thing tries to actually be, a thing about... Wait, that should go in Marvel. No, DC. Swamp Thing's a DC character. Again, I gotta move stuff. But yeah, Swamp Thing is about, pollution and all that, like in the live action section in the late to mid 90s. Denver was more about getting along. He helped two feuding restaurateurs get together by putting tacos on pizza. I kid you not. And then once force feeding the taco wrapped party platter into their mouths while they're arguing at each other, they realize it's delicious. And then they suddenly put aside their differences. Remember, this is in the last minute of an episode. That happened a lot. So trust me, this thing is an episode structure as old as, well, since the 90s. So yeah, the resolution comes in the last like 5 minutes of the episode. Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, much like where TV stars play themselves in cartoon form. Much like, what was his name? The Daredevil, Super Dave Osborne. Like him, like you had the celebrities that played themselves, and they would go out and do good stuff. Like the Backstreet Boys. The Backstreet Boys also had a series where it's just them. So if they do it by name, they go off and do like charity stuff. They help people, like the A-Team, kind of, but less violent. Girlfriends for Life. That's an interesting one. It's Sky Dancers. Betty Boop, Archie, Little Lulu. Ah, yes. This is, yeah. Okay, Dirty Little Dark Cartoons. And this here, Vintage Cartoons, Triple X. Okay, those two, it's a bit of a sordid history. Okay, throughout the past, 50 years, animators from any animation studio, the bigwigs, would get together and they would do under-the-table animations. Basically, cartoon porn. Not that cartoon porn, mind you. This was a little cruder in animation style, but it was just done for laughs. But nobody wanted to put their name to it or anything to associate them to it. So there are no credits on this on this property because no one wanted to opt to it. Because remember, these people did Scooby Doo and Disney and Warner Brothers. So even if you kind of get the style pretty much of Jetsons-y, I guess, or something like that, it's not definitive. There's nothing linking the animators back to who they really are. So yeah, they're trying to be really anonymous. So no pen names, no phantom, names or anything like that. So it's all just here's title, if ever, if anything like that, and then porn, and then the end. Let's see what else we got here. Yes, Evergreen and the Gem Raiders. Few episodes. I think there wasn't really very much on that initial broadcast, but it's a lot more of the tries to sponge off of the Sailor Moon, much like the later successors. But this was far more generic. If you're too generic in your stories or in your characters or plot lines, it's not going to catch on. It's going to go by the wayside, much like Gem Raiders here. Okay, here's the Scooby-Doo section. Josie and the Pussycats, Venture Brothers, Johnny's Golden Quest, Alvin and Chipmunks, uh, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Korra, love that, gotta get into these again, Futurama, Hey Arnold, Jetsons, The Groovy Squad, Felix, the cat, the movie, and then we have Loofers, and some foreign film, something or other. I didn't have a chance to translate yet. And then we have Peter Pan's, the Foxes, Peter Pan's and the Pirates. Yeah, that was a really damn good series. There were only 3 volumes, and I only have 2 that were released on home video. I wish I could have recorded a lot more, but, I didn't start doing that until my 20s. And you wonder what that is. So trust me when I say I wish I could have recorded this whole series. And then over there is just Muffy, the elephant, the movie, and something else that's probably just another silly little kids cartoon. Okay, moving on. Here's the foreign section. So Fantastic Planet, the Time Masters, aka Les Masters de Tumps, Mutant Aliens, Heavy Metal 2000, Harder T, Coraline, Bruffville. The 3 Amazing Adventures of Wallace and Gromit. The Singing Princess Zarfara, Ruth, Swiss Family Robinson, and a bunch of other stuff in there I don't want to get to. Fern Gully, Last Rainforest, Cricket and the Hearth, Old Curiosity Shop, Aristocats. That's Disney. Wait, dang it. Oh, it's Disney. Sorry. That's Disney. That goes up here. Oh. There we go. That's later. The Tale of the... What's that? Tale of the... Bill's Dragon? I guess. Legends of Atlantis. The Wonderful World of Oz. April and the Extraordinary World. That's a decent film there. Laura's Star. Lakura Star. Great Expectations. Live action movie had a better soundtrack than this. This is the old Victorian one, which sucks. But yeah, the live action movie in the early 90s had a much better soundtrack and music video, which I tried to make into a music video once. I'll probably try doing it again. Okay, Triplets of Bellevue. There's actually no speaking in that. It's all just Foley. Heidi, Princess Quest, whatever that is. and Haunted Pumpkin of Sleepy Hollow. Uh, Prisoner of Zenda, Emperor's Treasure, Mighty Hercules, Once Upon a Forest, Kid Paddle, Time Kid, plus 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea, We're Back, A Dinosaur Story, The Iron Giant, Little Nemo, Thumbbarella, Return to Oz, Treasure Planet, Quest for Camelot, Cats Don't Dance. Trust me, Cats Don't Dance is a lot better than Quest for Camelot. The Haunted World of El Super Bistro. Now, there is a freaking adult title if you want to see one. Think. Think. What was that movie made by the same guy that Spirit? Something City? Sin City. And Inglorious Bastards. And think animated form with a bunch of references to 80s movies. And you'll get The Haunted Adventures of El Super Bistro. Corpse Bride, Gulliver's Travels, Tiny Heroes, Pinocchio. I also have Pinocchio's and the Night Emperor somewhere around here. I also have Cinderella and and plus the Magic Room. I gotta get that cleaned. Fairies, Pinocchio. Well, here's the Pinocchio thing. This is Pinocchio and the Night Emperor. So there's a couple of different Pinocchios. I probably should just put this over here then. Star Fairies, The Tales of Tom Kitten and James Puddleduck. Probably saw when I was a kid. Sleeping Beauty, so it's a bunch of the fairy tale stuff. Toothbrush Family. Let's see what we got here. Over there. God. John the Fearless. Ugh. Yes, I know what that is. Fabulous Funnies. Oh, Sherlock Hound and the Tales of Mystery. That is, well, it was dubbed pretty well, so I don't think it was an anime. But yeah, it was done pretty well. The animation people in Toho and all that did a bunch of the fairy tale stuff that came in over here, but it was commissioned by the US to make those, so it's not an actual anime, even though it was created by the animators of Japan and Toho and all that. So it's not technically anime. It was because it wasn't created by Japanese anime people, the scripts and concept and all that. Anyway, so Jack Frost to begin to the Christmassy stuff. Walter Matters, Dangerous Man in Town, um, Rudolph and the Island of Misfits, Silent Night, Rudolph, Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie, the Christmas Carol, Frosty the Snowman, the non-one that doesn't kill people, Storybook Keepers, this is all the religious holiday stuff. Olive, the other reindeer, that's a CG one, I believe. That was made in computer. It's not graphics, it's just how it's moved. If you ever saw it, you would understand. It's not traditionally animated. Yeah, so that's the beginning Bible stuff. Rudolph, the Three Wise Men. Christmas, and Nutcracker and all that. Okay, so, alright, last row. Let's get up here. Okay, get out of the way here. The Last Unicorn. Now, I met Peter Beagle in line at Long Beach Anaheim Anime Expo, and I managed to get him $20. But when I went to for the autograph for the movie, but when I went to the ATM, I let some cute girls behind me go first, and then when they left, the ATM was out of money, so I had to go this whole thing, just try to find $20 to give it to him. Secret of the Kills, Dragon Lance, Um, Rock and Rule. That's always a good one. Horseland. Then we got the Swan Princess Saga. So the Swan Princesses, Ringing Bulls. And this is what I was talking about. See, this was made in Japan, but it was not initiated or contracted by the Japanese people to be made by the Japanese people. It was made by European people. So yeah, Pegasus, Angela, the Littlest Angel, the Red Shoes, some time stuff. People that deal with trying to keep kind of not history but fantasy character history on track. Make sure they're supposed to do what they're supposed to do. Um, the Velveteen Rabbit, Southern Elementary School. First Snow of Winter. That's the Burstein Bears or something. I forget what that is. But it's under a pile of tapes. I don't want to mess with it right now. Here is Braceface. Now, this is only 4 volumes that were released out of like the 56 or whatever that were released, that were shown. These any of those episodes are actually really good because they also deal with realistic stuff. Granted, hilarious misunderstandings and angst. Where you kind of transition into child, into teen before going on to adulthood, and you realize life is silly and stupid, along with sad and depressing. So you realize you get the whole scope, or more of the scope, of how weird life is, along with the drawbacks of becoming an adult. So it's not too depressing, but it shows a lot of growth, and it shows a lot of, well, it has a lot of heart and wackiness. So it's very sitcom-y at times. Well, you understand. Yeah, that's also what the Busted episode, because she really needed to prove herself that she was a woman. That could have been done better without the plot device of the inflatable bra, but whatever. I didn't write it. Anyway, moving on. Puff the Magic Dragon, Sunshine and the Porcupine, Fire and Ice, Return of the King, The Hobbit, Return of the... No, sorry. There we go. I believe it's how that goes. It's The Hobbit, Return of the King, Magic Voyage, Little Nemo, Flight of the Dragons, Hercules, different Hercules, and Xena, Faraday. That's just stupid. I saw that in elementary school. That's just stupid. The Thief and the Cobbler, that's like the second edit version, I think. It's one with the running commentary gags. Or the running gag commentary and something else. Or if it's, I don't know, it's some other kid's thing. It gets a little tiring having to realize that you're dealing with a bunch of fantasy nonsense worlds you have to deal with. Where it's like, another one of these. Something just to put on to distract the kid. You're like, ooh, look, shiny! Ooh, go watch that and leave me alone, please. It's like that. It's something to distract the kids for half an hour. Masters of the World, that's a racing, Fabulous, not Fabulous Funnies, Wacky Adventures. It was a drag race where they had a bunch of the Hanna-Barbera characters all driving together, much like Reluctant Werewolf. Yeah, so this was a driving one, I believe. This is just another random cartoon one. Leo the Lion. Anastasia, this is the Dawn Bluth section right here. So we got like Space Ace, Dragon Lair 1 and 2, Land Before Time, All Dogs Go to Heaven, Five Goes West, Betamax, American Tail, VHS, American Tail, Thumbelina,